Relax, guys. I think the hobgoblin can afford some more bacon. Welcome in to the Bro Force Squad podcast. This is episode 84, and we're just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. I'm your host, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Before we get started, let's go around and meet the fellow bros. And first, we go into the recently repaired lab to our mad scientist, Brian Banner. Now, Banner, I heard that you managed to complete an escape room this past weekend with the help of a makeshift flask. How are you able to pull that off?
Look, ingenuity always prevails. That's what I say. You know, it's just a way to live life. It's your motto. If you can't survive, then get out of the kitchen.
I think you just combined
Mrs. Banner and Mrs. Cycli because they're the ones who came up with the turkey baster idea.
Well, that was where I was going to loop you in, but also, Brian, I feel like you combined 4 different life mottos.
Look, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
You're just adding another one now, and we're just throwing dirt onto the already high pile.
If the shoe fits, Jeff.
God damn it. How many can we squeeze in here? That's what she said. Speaking of that, Cycli, to my previous question for Banner, you apparently were there or showed up late. As his legal representation, did anything transpire that we need to be worried about with regards to legal action being taken against the pod?
I can't. Against the pod? Yeah, definitely. No, we both contemplated how we're going to take you down and take all of your money. But, I will say that was a private conversation that took place between me and Banner. Mrs. Cycli showed up late, completely sober, tried taking care of us. But,
no,
Ryan and I
we weren't drunk at all, though, actually.
Nope. If she's listening, we were definitely sober that whole time.
I was asking more about, would anyone sue Brian? Not that you guys have a plan in place.
No. Of course we weren't going to take you down. I was kidding.
But you already said that.
That was such a Banner. Tell him it's.
Everything's fine. But I am gonna just need you to sign this one document. Cycli just told me that you need to do it.
Yeah, and as your lawyer, dude, I read it. You're good. Yeah. Just sign it.
I feel like Eduardo Saverin in The Social Network. Like I'm really about to get fucked over. I thought they were my lawyers. Poor guy. All right, if you have not listened to our show before, or even if you have, you know that we start every episode with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chest day. Now, our chest day, as you could tell from the title of this episode, revolves around San Diego Comiccon, which has come and gone for 2019. And admittedly, while it does kind of feel like this event, in terms of big movie announcements, has lost a bit of its luster, with Marvel typically saving the huge reveals for D23, and DC not really having much of a presence this year. There were some noteworthy things that did come out of it. So I'm going to read what I have as the 3 main takeaways. And then I'll let you guys choose what you want to talk about. So the first thing is Marvel Phase 4, all their movies, which you probably know about already if you're listening to the pod. But I think for me, the 2 most interesting things are Natalie Portman will return as Jane Foster, and she will become the mighty Thor, as in the comics, in Thor Love and Thunder. Mahershala Ali has been cast as Blade, who will probably show up in a random Marvel Phase 4 movie, although he's not getting his own. And then all the Disney one-shots announced, like Hawkeye's getting his own series. Second thing, Top Gun Maverick had a trailer, and the Jay and Silent Bob reboot trailer, which was pretty interesting. And then the last big thing I had was It Chapter 2. Footage apparently blew people away, and it's reported to have an incredibly long runtime of 2 hours and 45 minutes. So, Cycli, I'll go to you first. Any of those 3 things stand out to you from Comic-Con, or anything else that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to just say I'm a huge Jay and Silent Bob fan from the beginning of Clerks, even though they had a minor role in the original Clerks. But,
arguably their best, though.
It's honestly, Clerks is one of the best films.
Clerks? I think Clerks 2.
And Clerks 2, that's one of the best sequels that he's done. Because Kevin Smith, we can sit here and debate Kevin Smith all day. I want to love Kevin Smith, and then he's awful, and then he's amazing, and then he's awful. I'm really excited about the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Then I saw the trailer, and man, Jay doesn't look good.
Right? Jason Mewes, I've never been a big fan of. I've tolerated him because I think conceptually the stuff they do is good, but this was rough to get through, even with all the celebrity cameos.
I'm excited. I'm really excited. So, you got Matt Damon back as Loki, who's bringing from his Dogma character, which I love. We got Ben Affleck back. We got basically everyone is back in this universe.
Chris Hemsworth had a cameo in the trailer.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, what's his name? American Pie.
Jason Biggs.
Yeah, Jason Biggs is in it.
And Jason Lee, of course, is in the trailer.
Yeah, Jason Lee. And so, I'm excited that they clearly have enough clout to get everyone back. But at the same time, if you know anything about Kevin Smith, it's that, the guy just survived a heart attack. He's gotten his life together. Sometimes you wonder if all these people are kind of doing the movie because, let's surround Kevin Smith with love right now, because I really want to be excited about this. But that trailer, I was actually not as in love with as other people. So we'll see. I'm definitely going to go see it because I will never get enough Jay and Silent Bob. Dogma to me still to this day holds up as one of the best, in terms of not just, satirical comedies, just brilliant comedy ever written. So I love everything I can get from them.
I actually like the concept. Sorry, Cycler, to cut you off real quick.
No, please, yeah.
I love the concept of spoofing a reboot. That's something that is just ripe for the picking for these guys. I just don't know if I didn't laugh at the trailer. So I think the idea is funny, but
it's impressive.
Sure. And I think it's in this climate, we always talk about, Cycling and talk about this all the time. Everything's either a sequel, a prequel, a spin-off, or a reboot. So it's really funny that Blunt Man and Chronic are being rebooted, but if you can't actually make the joke, I don't know, man. Maybe it'll be funny, but typically with comedies, they put some of the best stuff in the trailer.
And that's my fear right there. I have a feeling if they really do play it up right, where they're just making fun of themselves, more so than the original Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, it can be a fantastic film. But they are the ones who have to be the butt of the joke.
Yeah,
you know
for
what
sure.
I mean? This has to be a play on making fun of Hollywood and what this whole thing is doing, which I think is the idea. So, I'm looking really forward to that. And Hornacek, how long have we known each other?
15 years? More than that?
One of the first things you remember about me. My love for who? I had a cardboard cut out of her.
Natalie Portman.
From
Attack of the Clones.
I still have that cardboard.
Yeah, how does Mrs. Cycly feel about that?
I think she's okay with it when it's in our spare bedroom. But she's really weird about it when I put it in the corner of when we were going to bed.
Yeah, as soon as you took it off the headboard, I think she was fine.
Yeah, but
why is it taped to the ceiling?
The best is I actually still to this day, and you can ask her, I will still randomly put Natalie in a corner of a room, and it will scare the shit out of her.
I thought you were going to say, and I'll see how long it takes her to notice. I was probably fucking right away.
Yeah, immediately. So I'll just preface that by saying, as someone who's been in love with her forever, I'm really excited about this Thor concept. Because one, it's like you said, it's the original story. This is actually from the comics. Yep. We're kind of in this place with the internet where people are going in an uproar all the time. Oh my God, Ariel is black. Dude is a fucking mermaid. She doesn't have a race. Get over this whole idea now Thor is a woman, or it's this now with the whole James Bond and 007 is going to be a woman. I'm let's hear the story.
It's better than Thor being a horse, which is also a comic. So calm the fuck down, people.
What are you going to pick?
You mean a Thor's?
Take these fictional characters and say,
get out.
They have to be a certain way. So I'm personally really excited about Natalie Portman taking on this role, wielding the hammer. And I'll just say this because that made me think of that. I'm also really excited about the whole new 007 concept with 007 or James Bond being retired, but helping out the new 007. So they just are related to me because you see this internet backlash. But that's how I feel about all the recent announcements.
I'm going to jump in here, Jeff.
Okay.
I agree. Natalie Portman, depending on which one we get, the idea of her being the female Thor is awesome. But it depends on what Natalie Portman we get. If we get Attack of the Clones or Thor the Dark World Natalie Portman, no. But if we get Black Swan Natalie Portman, okay, I'm in.
I just can't believe that her and Marvel were able to, that was worded really weird, but we're able to patch things up because apparently after Patty Jenkins was taken off the directorial duties for Thor the Dark World, she was basically filming that movie at gunpoint because of her contract and swore to never come back. She did a little bit of voiceover work for Avengers Endgame, but apparently all was either right in the world or maybe the role that Taika Waititi had. By the way, Taika Waititi, who wrote and directed Thor Ragnarok, is returning also, which I'm super pumped about. Just because I think that was one of the most creative superhero movies I've ever seen.
I think it's going to be interesting having Tessa Thompson and Natalie Portman in the same movie, just because of the characters that they are.
And to Cycly's point about, progressive filmmaking, they revealed at Comic-Con that Valkyrie will come out as LGBT in the movie, which is true to her character in the comics. And
Yep.
Jamie Alexander, who plays Sif, said she would like to be her love interest. I don't know if that's going to happen. She just said that in an interview.
I could totally dig that. I think that's an awesome storyline.
Sign me up.
Let's just get, I don't know, Jane and Sif can both have a love triangle with Valkyrie. I wouldn't fight it. And if Thor happens to
I was
pop
going to
up
say,
in the movie, then that's fine.
Throw Hemsworth in there. You've got yourself a
Can we
perfect
cross
porno.
like Margot Robbie from the DC universe into this too?
You know what? I'm willing to make an exception, even though that doesn't happen in the comics.
All of a sudden, like, wait a second, I don't think this is following anything that's been written.
All right. Now, Cycly, this question is maybe a little bit more for you, but I kind of want Banner's thoughts on this too. So, It Chapter 2 revealed to be 2 hours and 45 minutes. Now, Cycly, you're the only one on the pod, I think, that saw the first It. Yep. What do you think of that?
I'm actually really excited. So, I think I can't know. It definitely wasn't that long, but the first one was, I believe, almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. And for me, the movie kept its intensity. It was very long, but scene after scene was pretty wrenching in terms of like your adrenaline was going the whole time. I kind of feel like if they can mimic that again, I have no problem with how long that movie is. And you and I have talked about this off pod. I don't mind long movies if they fill it in with good scripts, good character development, and emotion, and and I'm not just watching a Michael Bay movie for 2.5 hours. That's completely
bite your fucking tongue.
I mean, I wish I was.
Shots
is what
fired.
I meant to say. And so for me, I'm really excited because I love the first It Part 1, and I had no problem when I saw that. That made me feel like they had a lot to work with.
Based on the one clip I saw, if Banner and I sat through this movie for 2 hours 45 minutes, we'd have just multiple heart attacks.
Yeah. Okay, that old woman though in that scene, wow.
I can tell you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, is she the same old woman from The Visit? Because she's so creepy.
Old women just in general creep me out.
Sorry, Banner.
I can tell you, I will go nowhere near the first one. But Mrs. Banner saw the first one. She really liked it. Just speaking.
What was that?
Black cherry claw.
It actually is a black cherry claw, which is a little embarrassing.
Wait, are we just calling White Claws claws now?
Wait, whoa! Did you call that embarrassing? There's no law when you're drinking the claw, bro.
Oh my god.
Okay. So back to my original point. When you think of horror movies or scary movies, you want them to be hit hard, come at you fast. Like you're talking, and you guys know this more. This is your guys' genre. This is your guys' thing. But like hour and 20 minutes to maybe hour and 45. And you're looking at a whole nother hour. Are you going to be able to keep that adrenaline going and keep that interest for that long? Or is it going to have that filler, just shitty dialogue and exposition in the middle to get at you from point A to point B? I don't know. I've heard very good things. I've heard nothing but good things from the first one. It looks scary as shit, which is why I'm not going anywhere near it. I just think that when you get a long movie like that, you either have to have a lot of good content like Titanic, a lot of historical data that went with it, or you have Endgame, which they earned it. There's 20 fucking movies leading up to that they had to work all of this stuff in. This is a sequel to a movie, and it's a horror movie. I know that you have the book, the Stephen King, and I'm sure there's a lot of meat still on the bone. I don't know. I've never read it because, again, it sounds scary as shit.
Does the book cover the Losers Club as kids and adults, or is there a separate book that's that?
I think it's just all one book.
I think it's all just one book. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
That point, Banner, really quick, is that the first. Your point is so valid about horror movies in general, which is why you kind of see a typical horror movie is pretty short in relative terms to compared to, drama films or others. They're always usually around an hour and a half. The It Part 1 just did something different. They were able to contain that intensity throughout the film, and which is one of the reasons I loved it so much. So I think they earned this 2 hour, 40-minute runtime.
Last thing before we move on, Banner, thoughts on Mahershala Ali as Blade? The rumor is he's not getting his own movie in Phase 4, Feige said, but the rumor is he will pop up in one of the films.
Fuck that. I hope he gets his own show.
That would be cool too.
A Blade show, and
I want him to pop up in the Hawkeye show.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We've talked about too where you have Blade and his daughter, that storyline. Yeah, that'd be cool if they did that. Being that Feige is talking more about it though than anything, I think that he will pop up in 1 or 2 movies, and not be in a show. Maybe pop up in one of the shows, but I want him to have his own show. Unfortunately, he's not. I do think it's a little weird, even though if I were Marvel, I'd do the same thing. He is Cottonmouth, even though the character's dead, and now, oh wait, this guy's really fucking good. Let's go ahead and make him Blade.
I think it just solidifies the Netflix shows are not canon in the MCU.
Yeah, I can see that. I just don't like it.
I mean, Alfred Woodard has already played 2 characters between Black Mariah and her character in Civil War. The interesting thing I thought...
I still don't like that either.
I don't like it either, but it's the reality we have. But at least Marvel has them all back now. Kevin Feige, this just shows the clout that Marvel has after the success of their first 3 phases. Mahershala Ali, who has won 2 Academy Awards, supposedly reached out proactively to Kevin Feige and asked to play this character. So that they didn't even have plans to introduce him, but like Kevin Feige said, when Mahershala Ali calls, you answer the phone.
Oh, that's a great point. I don't think I knew that, because I feel like Mahershala Ali is one of those actors who doesn't just take a role just because.
Right.
He's someone who you're buying in because he's in it.
Yeah, I mean, he calls me quite a bit, so like if I miss his call, it's not a big deal. But for the most part, I try and step out of the room.
What could Mahershala Ali possibly want to talk to you about?
Just, stuff. Do you know he's an avid tennis fan?
I would actually believe that. He seems very cultured. But you don't know shit about tennis.
Yeah, tell me one thing about tennis, Brian.
Yeah, what's a tennis fact?
Nil love.
Okay, that checks out. All right, anything else on San Diego Comic-Con before we move on? No?
I got nothing. I'm already off the rails.
Well, you were never on them to start.
I was on one. I was on a rail.
All right, the second part of our show is our protein shake, where we go around and talk about what is in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. Now, I have 6 things, one that Cycling and I are going to talk about pretty extensively. Banner, how much do you have?
So, as most of our fans know, I actually recently switched real jobs, and I'm working like 70 hours a week. So I only watched one thing. It was an entire season of something. So I only got one thing.
All right, Cycling, how about you? I'm just trying to figure out the order to do this.
Like 3 or 4. I can push it if you want me to.
All right, why don't you do like half of yours? I'll do half of mine, then we'll let Banner knock his out, and then we'll get to the real meat and potatoes. So save the good one if you can, Cycling. You can go first.
So I decided, I don't know what sparked it, but I rewatched a couple of old Tom Cruise movies, and maybe it's because I watched the trailer, and we'll talk about that later, but for Top Gun. But I noticed Last Samurai and Minority Report were on Hulu.
Ooh, nice. Ooh. I love Minority Report.
What? I realized I hadn't watched either of those 2 movies.
They're both solid.
It's both. I mean, it's been more than a decade for sure. And I remember I saw them. I was like, you know what? I loved those movies. Why haven't I ever watched that or bought them? So I put them all on back to back. The wife was in St. Louis. And I'm going to tell you guys, both of those movies completely hold up. The Last Samurai, I don't think gets talked enough about. I think the marketing department kind of messed that movie up because everyone thinks it's like, oh, Tom Cruise, this white guy is the Last Samurai. Where when you watch it, you're like, no, it's not about him. It's about this village. It's about this old tradition. And he's just someone who's there to witness it. And I mean, the acting, the score, it's Hans Zimmer, who never.
Oh, the score is incredible. Don't even get me started on it.
And it's that Tom Cruise is that guy who you can just hate in real life. But man, when he's on the screen, you have to just sometimes just sit back and say, you know what, I buy it. I dig it.
I totally agree. Mission Impossible Fallout was like my favorite movie last year.
Yeah,
but would I want to get beers with Tom Cruise?
No.
Fuck no.
You got to separate the art from the craft.
What if you were already... Now, I got a question. What if you were already drunk and he happened to show up at the bar? Would you stay and hang out?
You know he's going to do something crazy. You got to stay.
Or would you leave?
I'll order one more round. Yeah, he's going to do something weird, man. I just know it.
So
he's going to play some weird shit on the jukebox.
He's going to jump on the bar. He's going to do the whole Oprah thing. It's going to be great. You got to hang out.
Yeah, because everyone knows he does that everywhere he goes.
That's all he does now.
Into Chili's.
I will say, like, Last Samurai was a beautiful, beautiful film. And I don't know why people don't talk about it anymore. Minority Report, on the other hand, again, 100% holds up. But it's so relevant to today. Right? Like, the concept, this came out in 2002. And again, the acting is incredible. It's, Steven Spielberg. It's based on a short story from the 50s. And as you're watching it, like, again, in 2002, it seemed like, oh, this is so futuristic. We're 2019 now, and you're watching this concept, and you're saying that kind of happens now. Like this idea of thought police, and we can do a deep dive into this concept. But
the precogs are like people's social media accounts now.
Exactly.
Like they profile you.
They might not have meant for that in 2002, but in 2019, that's exactly what I thought.
That movie was ahead of its time, not knowing it was ahead of its time.
100%.
So does it get credit for that? It like accidentally was.
Yeah, it probably gets like a C on. Like, I know that you're right, but I also think you cheated.
It's the math question in high school where you didn't show your work, but you got it right.
Wow, that's a fucking analogy.
That's a great analogy.
Like, and then you get like -5 because they said, well, we told you to show your work. So here's an interesting concept I wanted to bring up about Minority Report. And I read online about it afterwards. Do you guys remember the ending of Minority Report is that it's basically his mentor was sabotaging the system, right? You guys remember that?
Yeah, so like the place that spoiler alert for Minority Report. I'll put it in the description. The place that he sends...
He's only 17 years old.
The guy who Tom Cruise was going to kill was like pretending to go along with this story because his family was like kidnapped or something.
Yeah, his son, he claimed to be the murderer of his son.
Right.
Because he was basically in on the corruption. And he said, "Hey, if you do this, your family will get paid all this money." So the precogs
saw Tom Cruise killing him, and that's why he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill this guy if he's the one who kidnapped my kid."
He didn't know until he met the guy who he was. But turns out it was all a farce. And then Tom Cruise, into the third act of the movie, Tom Cruise gets captured, and he gets put in the 2050s. He gets put into their modern day prison, which they call it the Halo. It basically makes you unconscious. They put you in this tube, and that's it. Well, so the movie, though, his ex-wife comes and helps him escape. And with the help of the escape, he traps the guy down. He unravels the whole problem situation. I found out online there's a whole alternate theory that the rest of the happy ending is all in Tom Cruise's head.
So he just stays in prison and imagines all of it?
So there's a comment.
All right, Brian?
Yeah.
There's a comment in the movie as he's being put in this tube that
says, mute button.
Working on it. It says, he says literally everything they say it's like having your life flash before your eyes or things you want to see. And then it's like a really happy ending. So the debate online is this movie is really dark, it's dramatic, and then it has a happy ending. So
does he get captured when he visits his ex-wife, like at their old ranch, or is that the very?
Yeah, it's at the very basic.
You know that scene where like Colin Farrell? Okay. Yeah,
that's exactly it. And then she turns him in without knowing what she was turning him into. But yeah, essentially the movie ends, in a happy ending. But ever since it's contradictory to the movie. So anyway, long story short about that. I think both of those movies are worth a rewatch. they both raise some questions about, they're still relevant to today. They're both beautiful films, and I got to give Tom Cruise credit. He's not a guy I think about often on the rewatchability, and it was great. So
Minority Report's got a pretty good score too, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and that scene where Tom Cruise loses his son and he holds his breath underwater, they're playing a game, and the watch that his son was timing him with drops in the water is so subtle and disturbing. I don't know why, but that scene has always stuck with me.
Yeah,
where he's like waving. He's like waving to other kids in the pool, and he sees the watch fall in the water, and when he comes out, his son's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and you never find out in the film what happened to the kid.
No, you don't, which I think makes it even more just because you can like feel his pain. Like even with precogs that can predict future crimes, we don't know what the fuck happened to my son.
Yeah,
and that's why he basically goes mad.
I recommend that to everyone out there. Rewatch those two movies.
All right, Banner, what was the one thing that you watched?
All right, so you guys know I'm a big fan of reality TV, and I actually think I've talked about this entire show, all 3 parts previously.
I know what you're going to
Chance
say. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So part 4 came out maybe 2 weeks ago, and this is the second season with Independence Community College, and I watched this, and it's a great show because it sheds light on specifically junior colleges and kids that get bounced back from D1 or for whatever reason can't get into a D1 school trying to play football. But they really do a good job of shedding light on the culture of college athletics. What it means to a community, what it means to the fans, what it means to those players, the coaches, teachers. They all have a different perspective, and they do a really good job of showing every perspective of it. And then they've done a very good job in part 2, part 3, and then now in part 4 of going back and showing you it's the where are they now.
Mm-hmm.
On the different seasons. They've taken specific people out of different seasons and shown where they are. One kid that was on one season had severe depression, and they talked about that. They had another kid who got drafted in the NFL. He's now about to play for the Rams. You have another guy that went undrafted, but he got invited to the Raiders camp, which I really, really hope he's on Hard Knocks because that would be really fucking cool.
You'd basically be living with that guy for the last 2 years of his life.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. And then you have another guy that dropped out of school after the show to focus on getting drafted for the NFL and then didn't make it. And then obviously
always a good idea.
Obviously the big one, Isaiah Wright is his name. He was on, I believe, the second season, and he was put in jail for being accessory to murder or something like that.
Him and his brother murdered somebody, right?
Him and his brother were there when somebody got murdered. His brother got off like nothing. They couldn't find enough evidence with that. But Isaiah Wright is unfortunately, he's just not an intelligent kid. And he made a comment, not saying he knew it was going to happen, but saying he knew something was going to happen. And so he got convicted of, I don't even remember what it was, but long story short, he's on probation for like 6 years and he can't leave the state of Tennessee. And it showed him kind of going through his trial and showing him get out now and kind of the world that he's living in and the struggles that he's in, being all he's known his entire life is football. And all he was told his entire life is that if you're not good at football or you don't make it in football, you're not going to amount to anything. And then now he is a convicted felon and he can barely work at McDonald's. And it's kind of just a sad, slippery slope that you see, and you see these kids on. And honestly, out of the show, there's one success story that I've seen. And that was the kid that he went to Texas Tech and he burglared somebody, got kicked out of school, went to East Mississippi State Community College or whatever it's called, and actually got invited back to Texas Tech, and now he got drafted in like the 5th round.
Was that the receiver?
No, he's a linebacker.
Okay, maybe it was at Independence. They had a receiver that was at Tech. I remember now.
Yes, I'm pretty sure he's the guy that did not get drafted. That like dropped out. He went to like Western Illinois or something, and he dropped out and didn't get drafted. But it's just sad seeing these kids that and these people that are told you're not going to amount to anything if you don't do football, and that's truly what they believe, and you can't change that mindset.
So season 4 is the second season with Independence, Kansas. Where does it rank in terms of the 4 seasons for you with the show?
Probably it's hard to say because what happened at the end with the coach, and I don't know if you guys know this, but so the coach
got arrested, right?
He wasn't I don't know if he was arrested. I don't know about like what wasn't on the show. All I know is what they showed on the show is they had a kid who came to Independence from Germany and wanted to play football, and he said, okay, well, we're going to redshirt you this year. Okay, so he's a team manager. Well, something went down. I don't even know what happened. And the coach texted this kid and said, I'm your new Hitler.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not the thing that I heard.
Yeah, it's different from what you heard. I heard that too, but I haven't researched it. So he told a kid from Germany, I'm your new Hitler, in a text message. And long story short, he was asked to resign through this whole thing. Also, this team that won their conference last year and was like third in the nation went 2-9 on the season.
Not the year they won, though, right? That doesn't even make sense.
No.
So that's the worst conference I've ever. Okay.
No, the first season of Independence, so that was part 3 of Last Chance U. They went like 1-10 or something like that. Second season, they went 2-9.
All right. Well,
and no joke, in the same episode, the defensive coordinator got fired twice and rehired twice.
Wait. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's insane. Like how
I wish I could quit you.
Yeah,
you're
just
fired.
insane.
Oh, we can't replace you. Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's awesome.
So I recommend it. It's good if you guys are into that kind of thing. And like I said, we've talked about this as the year of the documentary. This show has obviously been around for a while, but if you watch it, it really kind of puts the cherry on top of that statement.
I love season 3, so I'll definitely have to check out.
Oh yeah, I watched one more thing. Decided I wanted to rewatch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Guys, that is a fucking great movie.
Another Mahershala Ali classic.
Yes.
That was.
Soundtrack is fire.
Post Malone, right?
Yes. Post Malone, Kendrick Lamar is on it.
Oh, are they talented?
Barely.
All right, I watched a couple things. I watched Tour de Pharmacy. Have either of you guys seen this?
This is the one about the steroids in the Tour de France, right?
Yeah, it's an Andy Samberg mockumentary.
Oh, wait, you just watched that?
Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing. I watched it like when it came out.
I was going to say it was like 3 or 4 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's been a while.
On Saturday, like I get free HBO for 3 months with my new cable subscription.
Brag much? Jeez.
Yeah, and I have a 4-inch penis. So a lot of good.
I'd rather have free access to HBO for 3 months.
As would I. And I just like forgot to change the channel after something, and it came on. I saw it was 40 minutes. I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll watch this."
So good.
It is absolutely ridiculous in all the best ways, and the cast is fucking incredible. Like, how do you get these people to do this? Jeff Goldblum is hilarious. I'm not going to go through all the people in it, but suffice it to say, if you like, the tennis one he did, 7 Days in Hell?
Yes, which is also fantastic.
Also great. I'm waiting for the third one of these. I don't know where they're going to go with it.
I think the third one was technically on the Bash Brother one, but
yeah.
Oh,
I don't know that counts though.
It doesn't count, but that's they're kind of hitting all these sports, so that's why I kind of lumped it into that category. But it is very different from the other two.
I think John Cena was one of my favorite parts in it, though.
Yes.
When they raid his room at night, he has all the fake blood in his fridge. He's like, I drink that. Give it to me right now. I'll just drink it. That's what I do. And then the cycling fight that breaks out. It's so fucking stupid, but it's hilarious. And my fiance, we actually started watching it, and she didn't realize. Oh, no, it was my mom, actually. My fiance was at work. My mom and I started watching it. My mom didn't realize it was a mockumentary for like the first 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that's
That's how deadpan they play it.
You know what we needed? Like, I would pay to listen to someone doing a commentary on that, thinking it's real.
That would be hilarious. What's the website you always told me about where people think Onion articles are real?
Oh, not
literally unbelievable.
Literally unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, where people are like, fuck this. Oh, yeah, there's probably a whole group of people that don't realize, even when all the actors start showing up. Two things that I saw in theaters. I saw the new Lion King. I really liked it, man. I know people are shitting on it. I don't get it. I think I didn't see Dumbo, but I was very pleased with Aladdin and Lion King. Check out my Letterboxd review. I mean, I have a few gripes, but I mean, it hit all the emotional beats. I thought the voice cast did really good. The music worked. John Oliver was awesome as Zazu. I think just incredible casting there. And then Chiwetel Ejiofor, dude, we have had two incredible Scar performances because him and Jeremy Irons are just fucking legends. And if neither of you guys have seen it yet, I think he'll probably steal the show for you. Haven't you guys seen it?
Because I haven't seen it, the only thing that bummed me out was when I found out that Pumbaa doesn't get in the hula skirt and they do that whole "Are you aching for some bacon?" Like,
Yep.
That's the best scene in the movie.
Yeah, they do another bit about how Pumbaa is like really sensitive about his body image, and the hyenas kind of come at him, and he, yeah, Seth Rogen was really good in it.
I heard their dynamic was great. And that second John Oliver was cast as Zazu, I was like, I cannot think of, like, his face makes me think of Zazu.
John Oliver the whole time keeps complaining about this cousin that he has who thinks he's a woodpecker, and it's pretty funny.
I haven't seen it, but I have listened to Hakuna Matata. It's fucking horrendous. I'm sorry. On the soundtrack, Hakuna Matata is horrendous. It's terrible.
Yeah, maybe that song isn't as good, but when they do The Lion Sleeps Tonight, that one is incredible. That part is.
Was Beyonce as bad as people said, or
Beyonce mailed it in? I would have to say that was like one of the weakest spots of the movie.
You mean like her peak performance is obviously in Goldmember? I mean, she's just unbelievable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Obviously,
of course, yeah. No one disparaged that performance. And then another thing that I saw that Geiger and I just did our review on, which I'll actually link in the description of this, so I won't really talk about it much here. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I will just say, I think you will be. We make a bold statement with where this movie ranks this year. Is all that I'll say in our review.
I love indie movies without any famous actors, so I'm really excited to finding a theater that has this.
Right, that's definitely what this is.
I actually did listen to your episode on it today, so.
Yeah, it's very interesting movie. I want to get the extra click for you to click on our review, so I don't want to tell people too much about what I think about it. I watched 50-50 again, the Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen movie. Great fucking movie.
Great movie.
I think I gave it a 5 on Letterboxd. It works perfectly, and I've been very, very blessed in my life to not have had my family be very affected by cancer, but I think it portrays the hardships of like having a friend go through it or someone that be affected by it, and it brings levity in just the right amounts. Like, they don't make fun of the concept of battling cancer, but they do show that like sometimes laughter is the best medicine. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I either love his performances, like he's in one of my favorite movies of all time in 500 Days of Summer, or I fucking find him pretentious and obnoxious and other things. There's no middle ground, and this is definitely the former. Like, he was awesome in this. And Anna Kendrick normally bothers me, but I really liked her in this role too.
You watch yourself
with her too.
Yeah, I don't really get it. Banner, we're not going to do this on pod again. Come on. I mean, I like the Pitch Perfect movies too, but it's the idea of the movies, not what she does in them, that I enjoy. Okay?
Her and Zooey Deschanel, I just can't figure out how I feel.
And those are the two Joseph Gordon-Levitt movies that I like.
Right, and the whole adorkable thing is like...
Oh, God, I'm quirky. Jennifer Lawrence tries to...
Yeah, we're going to go off a rabbit hole here. Like, I will go really deep.
I've never heard the phrase adorkable, but I love that.
Oh, yeah, like she like I feel like Zoe Deschanel defines adorkable, right? Like that's her whole shtick.
That is her thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
my glasses are bigger than an optometrist would recommend.
It makes me think of like not another teen movie. They're like, oh, she's not pretty because she has glasses and a ponytail.
No,
it's like,
yeah.
What? No, she's
They're
hot.
like,
Stop acting like you're weird.
They tell Chris Evans' character, turn Janie Briggs into prom queen. He goes, what? She has glasses. And she's clearly like a 10.
The paint on her overalls.
Oh, God, come on.
Anybody but her, they like pass the girl, like the conjoined
twins and the fucking albino chick.
Yeah, dude, that movie, I as bad as some of those kind of mocking movies were, like all the scary movies after the first one, none of the other teen movies great. Not to get off on another tangent.
Josh Radnor's in that movie too.
Josh Radnor, because like there's actually a pretty good cast. Molly Ringwald makes her appearance.
Yeah,
makes fun of herself, but yeah, well, that's another story.
All right, last two things I had. These are going to be some good conversations. One, I'm primarily going to have with you, Cycly, and then Banner. I'm going to need your help for this last one. All right, you know what it is. You're going to have to chime in. All right, Cycly, why don't you tell the people what you and I both watched?
So, if you listen to the pod and you know Jeff and I, we love, serious documentaries. We love dramatic effects. We love stories that are the core of being human, comeback stories, things like that. So Jeff and I revisited the original Power Rangers. It's on Netflix, and thank God it's on Netflix, because I don't know what we would have done if we didn't have this too. We were both in a dark time, and it just held us to a place that took us to a better place, I should say. So we decided to watch Green with Evil, 5-part miniseries that introduces the Green Ranger. I call it a documentary. Jeff doesn't, but we'll have that conversation.
It's borderline, but yes. By the way, when you told me that this was on Netflix, because I know that Power Rangers went on long after we had stopped watching the show, but I think there's literally 18 different seasons of the show on Netflix right now. And when I say seasons, the quote-unquote season 1, I think has like 40 episodes.
It was 60.
Jesus Christ. So there might be
their first season is literally a series.
It's insane.
Well, the best part about it is, obviously, are we getting into this now? Because, I will.
Yes, we are.
So, and you and I talked about this when we were together last week. The show, I didn't know this as a kid, obviously, why would I have? The show is based off a Japanese series, and it borrows all of the fight scenes from the Japanese series. So it severely cuts budget costs, right? They don't have to do...
And everything with Rita is from the Japanese show.
Everything with Rita,
right?
Everything with all the bad guys. So essentially, they're only filming those 10-minute clips of them in Angel Grove with Bulk and Skull and all of that. So... when you really think about it, that's why they were able to do 60 episodes, because they weren't filming a normal traditional show, right? So outside of, what we're going to get into, I had no idea. And I guess that makes sense. The first 3 seasons, or I guess what we know as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, only lasted 3 seasons. And then it became Power Rangers Zero, and then Ninja, and then who knows.
Right.
Turbo.
Yeah. Turbo was like the second movie too. So, Cycly, I have a couple points I want to talk about. So, again, Green with Evil, it's a 5-part mini-series. So, basically the equivalent of a movie of Tommy becoming the Green Ranger and fighting the Power Rangers. So, if you haven't watched this,
go... had nothing else to do for these people listening.
Yeah, go back and revisit it. But Cycly, and I think all of us fucking love the Power Rangers. And Banner, anything that this strikes up in terms of memories, please chime in. So,
oh, trust me, I know exactly where this is.
So the quick synopsis is Tommy Oliver is new to Angel Grove. Rita possesses him, gives him the Green Ranger powers, and he is a foil to the Power Rangers Zordon and Alpha. My first point that I had, while Tommy is possessed by Rita, who he keeps referring to as his Empress, like in every fucking sentence that he has, he starts ignoring Kimberly. Unbeknownst to her and the other Power Rangers, Tommy is possessed, and he's like a huge asshole to her, and actually stands her up on... would you call that a date, them meeting at the juice bar?
She definitely took it as a date. He introduced negging to the world.
That's true. But and to that point, he's the bigger an asshole possessed Tommy is to Kimberly, the more I feel like she digs it.
Oh yeah, Kimberly loves the hard to get game. She's one of those girls who tells you she doesn't like drama and just like someone who's straightforward, but she really loves this whole like, what does he actually want?
You know what I love?
What?
Kimberly.
Yeah, get in line, bro. Line started over here 15 years ago. Actually, way fucking longer than
like
that.
closer to 30 years ago.
Yeah, I was 6. So.
25 years ago.
Another thing that I thought was really funny, and I didn't realize this till like I was like thinking about the miniseries. When Tommy is like acting like an asshole to Kimberly, she tells Jason like, "Yeah, Tommy's being a fucking dickhead," and Jason goes, "That doesn't sound like him." Tommy fucking moved to Angel Grove 3 days ago. How do you know what he acts like?
My favorite part about that is other than their little spar they had, you know, they're like in their karate spar at the juice bar for some reason that was getting scored.
Or there's also machines.
What's that?
You can get there's a dojo, a juice bar, and a pin weight chest incline machines.
I gotta give you the Angel Grove, man. And the best part about it, they had not, unless I missed it, like went to the bathroom. Jason and Tommy did not have a one-on-one conversation outside of that.
It was just the conversation they had was martial arts, bro.
Okay? Yeah, and he's like, that doesn't sound like Tommy at all. It's like,
I'm like, you don't even know this motherfucker. Like, Tommy might not even be his real name. We don't know.
Like, he could be anyone. We didn't have Facebook back then. There's no verification.
Yeah. A second thing I wrote down, this actually had a lot of the Rangers fighting without being morphed against the Putties. And so probably for the most part in the whole series, the Putties actually kind of whooped the shit out of the teenagers quite a bit.
I mean, didn't they? Because they couldn't... wasn't the command center was blown up, you know?
Correct. Remember, Tommy put that CD-ROM in alpha and fucked up all their...
I wanted to mention this to you. One of my favorite scenes in this episode is, I think it's the beginning of the second episode in the miniseries, and they're in the command center and they're just looking at the destruction. All the wires are hanging out. Zordon is gone. Alpha is obviously
he's wigging out, right? Yeah.
And Trini literally goes, "Wow, whoever did this knew what they were doing." I'm like, all they did was just broke things.
Yeah,
a fucking raccoon could have got in here.
Yeah,
they literally just broke the circuit boards and ripped the wires out. That's all they did. Wow, this guy.
Pretty sure that's called burglary in some neighborhoods.
That was one of my favorite lines in the whole miniseries. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, if they knew what they were doing, they would have just like coded something in. They wouldn't have been ripping everything apart.
Right.
Also, a fun drinking game is anytime Trini says, "Guys, what are we gonna do?" Because I think she says that at least 4 or 5 times in the miniseries. Another thing I had to say real quickly: Zach, of course, the Black Ranger. Which, Jesus Christ, even as a kid, I knew that was a bit on the nose.
That and Trini being the Yellow Ranger.
Yeah, but I just wrote Zach is so fucking cool. Like he dance fights the Putties at one point.
He is the best.
And in the movie Brink, he's on Team X.
Oh shit! And he's the good guy at the end.
Right?
Yeah, he's the guy that flips.
He's just such a badass, and I've always idolized Zach, and this just reinforced that again.
Can I really say something really fast though? Like we were talking about Zach being the Black Ranger and Trini being the Yellow Ranger, and not being kind of racist. I didn't know
kind of.
Well, yeah, very racist. So, you know, obviously we did a rewatch, and I again just started reading things on the internet. I found out the guy who plays Jason, the Red Ranger, Austin St. John.
Austin St. John, yeah.
Yeah. He's Native American, and they made him the Red Ranger.
You got to be fucking kidding me.
No,
you're lying. I didn't.
Obviously, it's more obvious.
And you know what? And I hate to get like, all right, now we're kind of trying to make this what we want it to be. Billy suffered from depression, and they made him the Blue Ranger.
Blue. I was just really fun. And of course, the hot blonde is.
Tommy was a fucking gardener.
Yeah, he loved marijuana. You know, 420, bro.
Yeah, probably. Jesus Christ.
But I had no idea that he was Native American in real life, and that was one of the controversies.
I guarantee you, the showrunners did.
They just did not care, but.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed, Cycle, I told you this on the phone the other day. So Bulk is always wearing a rugby helmet around town. And I'm wondering if maybe he's actually like a stud athlete at the school. And he's fucking pissed that guys who recreationally do martial arts are the cool kids.
He made me think of Billy Ray in another teen movie.
It is kind of weird that for someone who's that out of shape, like the main place he hangs out at is a juice bar that has a gym inside of it.
And is there any better like musical like what's it called? Like Bulk and Skull have that musical theme every time.
Yeah, Banner, the Bulk and Skull score is so fucking ridiculous.
I'll have to go back and revisit it.
It's almost like the not top 10 on Sports Center. It goes.
Can we talk about our theories with Bulk and Skull, though? I think we had a good concept of why they were the way they were.
Oh, yeah. You got to share this.
So you said Bulk is a impressive athlete, but, like he's obviously had a couple concussions and they're worried about him. I said, that's called Bulk is he was homeschooled his whole life. He had his parents were extremely religious. They didn't let him get out much. And unfortunately, they died in a car accident when he was in middle school. And he never had cable growing up. And the first person he met was Bulk. and he's the one who taught him. And they made this connection because they were both kind of outcast. People don't like them. And they just didn't have the social norms to understand how to relate to people. So they're trying to become friends with the Rangers. They just don't know how to communicate. And it kind of broke my heart watching Bulk and Skull struggle with friendship because they just could not relate to the Rangers. And the Rangers were dicks to them.
It's kind of like Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh my God, that's my favorite.
Right? Like, they just don't know how to even approach the Power Rangers. So they do the only thing they know, which is lash out. Okay,
who was your favorite Ranger growing
up? Jason was. I mean, I was the Red Ranger for 2 Halloweens. But Tommy definitely tested.
I think the Green Ranger was cop out. Yeah. I actually,
I was one of those little bitch kids. I love the White Ranger.
Well, that is Tommy becomes the White Ranger eventually. Spoiler alert.
And you know what? He was white.
Unreal.
I actually met him in real life. I took karate at his dojo when I was like 4, just because he owned it.
Wait, where was this?
This is in Southern California. He owns like 80 dojos now, and then I met him at Comiccon again like 3 or 4 years ago.
He's a mixed martial arts fighter now, right?
He was. I don't know if he still is, but he has a tattoo on his forearm that says "Jesus doesn't tap." And I'll just leave that out there.
Why? Okay.
That's okay.
All right, speaking of Tommy, I have 2 quick things I want to say. Tommy teleports into Zordon and the Rangers' lair like 3 times and fucks their shit up. And I was thinking they really need to either like find a way to stop that from happening or just fight fire with fire. They know Rita is on the fucking moon. You can teleport there. Rita is just way too comfortable in this.
Yeah, they never. But Zordon says that never escalate a fight unless Rita forces you. No, fuck that. Go take her down and prevent this from happening.
She literally is walking into your house and pissing on your dinner, like multiple times, because she knows he won't do anything.
But this did introduce Scorpina or whatever, and she's a honey.
Would. And to
I
my
feel
last
bad for
point,
Goldar.
Rita's plan, I do too. He's like super loyal, and Rita brings in Green Ranger and Scorpina to do this fucking job. He's like, I could do it, Rita. I just don't understand why you always go outside for help. Like he has great.
He's like, just give me 5 seconds. He got one opportunity, and that's in Day of the Dumpster, which is the pilot episode of Power Rangers. Other than that, He's never given a chance.
If you don't promote from within, good talent will leave.
Yep. I've seen her Glasto reviews. They're not good.
They're not good. Some of the putties who prefer to remain anonymous have said some scathing things. And last thing, yeah, that's what they type. Last thing I'll say, Rita's plan to fight the Megazord during a solar eclipse, because obviously Megazord derives his power from the sun like Superman, was fucking brilliant.
Well, also, they gotta fight climate change, so I love the solar
if that's the case, why doesn't Rita just attack every fucking night at Angel Grove? They can't make Megazord.
Whoa. You're telling me there's plot holes in this? Come on, man.
Well, that's what I had for Green with Evil.
I would love to see the alternate universe where the Megazords have a power cord coming out of their ass and they're just plugged in like, oh god damn it, gotta recharge them.
Jesus Christ. All right, we're running a little long, so I'm going to save my last one for the next episode. But Banner, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we move on to the last part of the show?
No, I'm good.
No. Cycling, how about you?
Nah, I got one, but yeah, I can save it.
Okay. All right, our last part of the show leads us to a question that Brian Banner... Okay. And that is our... I'm a little hesitant, but that is our question and answer segment. Do you even lift? Correct. Where we find a question from the internet and we read it on our show. And our question today comes to us from Matthew Kearns at Kearns_Matthew, who asks, if you could be a part of the production of one movie, which film would it be? Now, I didn't know, Matthew, if you meant like of all time or something that's currently being made, but I took it as any movie all time. I have two answers here, but Cycly, I'll let you go first. Is there any movie that has ever been made or is currently being made that if you could be a part of production or really just like on set, you would definitely take the opportunity?
You know, I would love to have been a part of Space Jam because I think it'd been great to get to know like Bugs Bunny and Daffy and.
But what if you
invite him on the show?
You don't want to meet your heroes?
Yeah, you don't want to meet your heroes. That's the concern, right? Like I've heard Bugs Bunny won't even make eye contact with you. Like
I heard he's really hard to work with.
Like when your dad met Terry Bradshaw, said he was an asshole.
Yeah, and, you know, it's funny as a kid. This is not on what we're talking about. My dad told that story to me as a kid. He's like, "Yeah, I met Terry Bradshaw and he was a jerk." But now I think about it as older, like my dad approached him in the bathroom. Like, of course Terry Bradshaw was a dick. I'd be a dick. But you know, I don't know. I always thought that for some reason, you know, watching comedies, those would be pretty fun. But I always love musicals. I don't know why, but I think being on the set of a musical could be just really fun. I don't have a particular movie to say. I just every time I watch one like that, I'm like, you know what? I want to be there. I want to be there for that.
We'll say Mamma Mia. Your answer was Mamma Mia.
Yeah, I was going to say Pitch Perfect, but for completely different reasons.
We know. Banner, what is a movie you would want to be involved in the production of?
So, just so I could be like a super fanboy, I think obviously just Endgame or Infinity War, one of those, just having that many actors and that many people playing characters that I grew up loving would just be absolutely incredible. Just to be on set, even just for one day, let alone being part of the entire crew or entire production of, I think that would be really cool. And then just like any Judd Apatow movie from like 2010 to like 2014 would be a lot of fun too. Like literally just sitting around smoking dope and going, okay,
did you call it dope?
Yeah, I just called it dope.
Wow.
And,
all right,
okay,
90-year-old grandpa. Undercover cop. But yeah, Ben, I agree. I think like you look at the gag reel for those films and getting to be on set would be a fucking blast.
Yeah, like I don't know how those films actually got made because like they just look like they're having so much fun on set. It's not even like they're on set. They're literally just hanging out for 4 or 5 months at a time.
And they're playing stoners, so they're probably like actually smoking for the role.
They're actually smoking for the role.
To that point, right? I'm the character now. Yeah, there's no delineation between me and my pothead character. Banner, to that same point, I actually put Anchorman as one of mine because
early on,
just that Carell, Paul Rudd, Will Ferrell, and especially for the Anchor fight scene, like Cycly said, seeing actors like that together would be really cool. I guess you said it actually. Cycly, that wasn't your point. Just stop trying to steal it.
Yeah.
But another one I just thought of, I'm changing one of my answers that I wrote down. How cool would it be to watch Heath Ledger work on The Dark Knight?
So I thought about
I don't know.
Like, I honestly, when I saw that, when you said that question, I was thinking about these actors who are just so intense, right? The Daniel Day-Lewis's, the Heath Ledgers. Do you remember when Christian Bale kind of went off like crazy during the Terminator Salvation movie?
Oh yeah, I love the clip of the guy that like accidentally walks in front of him.
You know, because like you have to consider these kind of actors who are that intense because they become the character they're playing. I felt like it would almost be not fun because they're just immersed in it. And then I thought about that. I was like, would I want to see Daniel Day-Lewis in action? 100%. Then you realize, dude, that guy's probably going to be just out of his mind.
And also, would it kind of ruin the performance for me if I like saw how it was made, sort of? I don't know. Do you want to?
Yeah, like where the sausage is made, right? Yeah,
exactly. It's a good. All right, I talked myself out of it. All right, before we let the people go, what do we want to leave them with? Banner, you first.
No, I'm good. Just eat your Wheaties and drink your Cheerios.
What?
All right, Cycly, top that.
Eat your Cheerios and drink your Wheaties.
Perfect. For our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycly, and the mad scientist, Brian Banner, I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys for checking us out. Please follow us on Twitter at Bro4Squad. Type in Bro4Squad, 3 separate words, to Letterboxd, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Find all of our stuff there and subscribe to us and check out everything we post on our website, Bro4Squad.com. Till next time, we have to go dope for the next Tour de France.
There was so much going on, I don't even know what happened.
Yes.
I was saying, what if we were murdered and our last word was eat Wheaties, drink Cheerios?
I'm pretty sure that's not the worst thing. That would have been the last thing I said.